this new acting was no longer an option anymore because I'd just fallen in love with comedy.
Here's the truth.
Right.
3.5 years ago, I quit my job, despite the fact that I'd never actually done stand-up or seen it live or on TV before.
It was so stressful because at the end you send it away, and then 8 weeks later they'll either tell you you've met the requirements or you have to leave the country in 14 days.
I was the fattest boy in the class, so it was good door frame size. You put me on the door, not much get past. I might get stuck. We need a push out.
And it's really all down to her saying, don't just talk about it, put your money where your mouth is and go and do it.
It's my lovely watch that I think every time I'm on stage, it lets me know that I'm stressed and I need to do breathing exercises.
Oh, really?
I'm like, yeah, dude.
That's not what it's doing.
Yeah. I'm like, thank you very much.
You can take a moment if you want to calm yourself.
No, I'm good.
How did you get into comedy? How did you get into performing? What's your story from back in the day? Where did it all begin?
It all began in 2017. Spent over a quarter century on and off working as a bouncer.
Right.
And it was one of those lovely first of the January mornings. We had finished the shift. We were kicking back a couple of beers with the boys.
Yeah.
I was just making some dumb jokes, and they were like, "Dude, you should go and try the stand-up thing."
Yeah.
And I'm like, why would anybody want to listen to something which is completely unrelatable unless you work in a nighttime economy?
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, since I'm half Russian, they brought in this lovely card that, are you man enough? I'm like, God damn it. Here we go. I signed up for an English language open mic. I was like, I'm going to try it maybe in English because I've seen comedy in English. Reddit it the whole month before it came.
Yes.
Went on stage, did my 5 minutes, handshaking, everything. Which proved out to be part of the gags for the boys because they were like, man, you teach classes in college. Now, what terrifies you about speaking in front of the people?
Yeah.
Like, well, usually two things. Number one, in college, I kind of know what I'm supposed to say.
Yeah.
And two, they're sober there. Mostly. But it went good. I think I got hooked after that one night. This is Edinburgh Fringe.
Yeah, so it's like the holy grail of comedy. So many people here have performed. I think.
Not just perform, but the audience expects you to be this
amazing,
amazing and fringe level. And then I did my sets, and they went quite well. Though I felt that they went kind of like my first sets at home. Yeah. Where people were giving me this handicap of he's from a country we never heard of.
Yeah.
We will not find it on a map. Google it. Let him do his thing. It's kind of like being this special kid in the class. So let him do his thing. He has a hat on.
Yeah.
We're good. And I did it, and it was amazing because the first show I did, it was a late show.
Yeah.
Half of the audience was pissed drunk. The other half of the audience were tourists who kind of wandered in because, we're at the Fringe, let's go to the Fringe show.
Go somewhere,
It was kind of like being in Tallinn with just more pissed lads. Going like, oh mate, your grammar sucks. I'm like, I know. I sometimes I do comedy in Russian because it was the language of my dad, so it's kind of my way of connecting with him.
Is he not here with?
He's not with us. Yeah, he passed away in 2010, so he thankfully did not see the embarrassing second coming of his elder son. At the same time, it's also a bit of he wanted me to be a lawyer.
Did he?
Yes, here we are.
Well, quite a disappointment, aren't you?
I know. Every time I look at that law degree in my closet, I'm like, you're not coming out, mate. You're staying there. Fringe is the boot camp. You come here and you dread the whole year. It's like, okay, I better not forget the grammar again.
Is it not more fun if you do? Or does it not?
It is, and plus, I can get away with it. I'm a foreigner, so everybody is like, wow, he made a sentence. Great, Duolingo works. I've always said, Duolingo works. And as a school teacher, I was the same. I would look at my students and the situations where I would be also, you know what, I'm going to color myself in the corner. You do you. We have 20 minutes left. You want to go crazy, you go. I'm going to be in a corner crying and coloring. We're all happy. Wanted to do that all the time. waking up as a grown-up at 6 a.m., you know, to get to the class at 8:50, and you're like, I didn't want to go as a child. But now I have a I have to show up because I have a contract and all of that. Being in front of the class, it's a heckle show every day. Even what doesn't matter what the subject is, it still ends up with because especially like in an era of social media. I started teaching where we didn't yet have TikTok, and in my country, this was 16 years ago. Facebook was just kicking in. I mean, I could prank them with some like good old stories from the battlefield of Orkut, where you could spend days arguing with somebody who wasn't a bot, he just lived in India. And you would be there like, no man, you know, there's traffic in my town, mental. I love coming to Edinburgh and seeing the bridge still under construction. I'm home, baby. They've relocated like from one side of the bridge to another, zero work happening, I'm home. My hometown streets are dug up. I have my personal favorite game. I like to take a walk every day. And my personal favorite game is try to spot a working construction worker on the road. It's like, you know, playing Where's Waldo. Hasn't found one. And everybody is like, yeah, dude, but why are you worried? I mean, because I pay taxes. The only reason. Otherwise, I couldn't care less. As a pedestrian, I'm happy you cannot drive your car. It's a pedestrian rage. Takes a lot of fun out of life, though, having a law degree. When you're like, you know, I could be just living my life, but I know criminal penalties, and it like takes the joy out of a lot of stuff you want to do. You're like, these drugs look mighty tasty, 7 to 15. I'm like, there we go. I mean, I've got a stricter prescription. Thank you, medication. No, it's like, I ended up with making teaching one of my routines, in the sense that it was the easier way of getting them to pay attention. Because nowadays, like, it's not just attention span. Yes, we have problem with that. Sure. I mean, as somebody who's supposed to do stuff for social media, but I don't because I suck at it. Because every time I need to make like you start making a TikTok video, and it's like, no, do you want advice? No, I don't, because I know that you're gonna give me advice I do not understand. And like, it has to be attractive. I mean, have you seen me? I mean, I could be just this random dude for any Police Scotland video, like how to spot a suspicious person. Put my phone out there. If you see anything like this, run. That's why I dress like this. It's like I've been walking around Edinburgh for 2 weeks. Even homeless dudes are like, wow, that must be a tough fall, man. I'm like, well, you know, I read Dickens as a kid. We can see. But yeah, I before I got into comedy, I tried to make it as a. I still have my law degree.
Just give me the brief time frame. So, which point was teacher? Which point was law? Did you go school, law, try to make a lawyer? Teach?
Yeah, sort of like that. Yeah,
bouncer. Hold on a minute, bouncer. Where was bouncer?
The bouncer was all the time on the background, at the back burner. I started doing the door gigs when I was in high school. I was the fattest boy in the class, so it was good door frame size. You know, you put me on the door, not much get past. I might get stuck. Winnie the Pooh style. But so when I went to college, I still remember my mom vehemently denies that, but I stay true to myself. It was one of the first days in college. I was still living at home because my dad said I still can. And my mom very subtly decided to give me a hint that even though I live at home, you know, it's time to get a job. You know, 19 now. So back those days, we weren't that digital a country yet. We still had newspapers which would have those lovely, you know, looking for employment kind of ads. And she just put one of those ads in front of me, which was just a whole section about security jobs.
Right.
And just look at my mom going like, so what gives?
Yeah.
And my mom is there like, son, be honest to yourself. I mean, with your looks, we're not talking about catwalk gigs here now, are we? Like, you know, security job, or you can go and become a cashier. I'm like, got it. Security jobs. I got paid for doing what I was doing in class. So, I mean, I'm not very proud of it, but I once went and took an exam in a sub. I hadn't attended any classes because they were not mandatory, so I was like full-time employed. I almost forgot about the exam. And like on the day of exam, my mate is calling me up like, dude, you coming to the exam? Like,
Yeah,
if
it's
you're
time.
not, yeah. I'm like, what exam? It's like corporate law in 30 minutes. I'm like, ah! Thankfully, office was like 10 minutes away from the law school. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I walk into my boss's office. I'm like, I'm not gonna be at the meeting. He's like, what do you mean you're not gonna be at the meeting? You're the in-house counsel of the company. We need you at the meeting. I'm like, I have a corporate law exam. And my boss also went to law school, but he never graduated. He's like, wait a minute, you've been doing in-house counseling, but you haven't passed the corporate law exam. I'm like, and if I'm not gonna go right now, I'm not gonna pass it either. And he's like, okay, you go then. I show up at the exam. Professor looks at me like, who are you? I'm like, I'm Alexander. I go to college here. He's like, never seen you. Me neither. I'm like, all right, Alex, how you doing? He was like, what are you doing here? I heard it's an exam. I was like, yeah. Do you plan to take it? I mean, it should be the last exam of the term. He's like, yes, it is. When's the next chance? Next year. Then I'm taking it. He's like, I haven't seen you in a class. I'm like, do not get stuck on detail. What could possibly worst thing that could happen? He's like, you're gonna fail. I'm like, yeah, but it's my failure. He's like, all right, master, you'll do it. He was shocked because I mean the thing with the exam was it was two parts. It was the theoretical part, which I didn't really know because I mean I had read the textbook but hadn't been to classes. So I was like, you know, I'm gonna start with the case.
Yeah. Which you'd
And
have
I had a good fortune of literally being lucky once in my lifetime. I opened up the case section and I'm like, I did this last week.
No.
Yeah, I filled out the
flew,
case and was like, okay, you know, let's take a look at this theory thing. Answered a couple of them. Exam was supposed to last, I think, for 3 hours. I got done in an hour or something, and the professor looks at me like, you really plan to submit this? I'm like, yeah, actually I do.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, take a seat. While everybody else are doing the exam, let's see what's happening. And I see it on his face that the dude is like, well, he started with the theory. He was like, I'm like, I would skip that if I were you. It's like, do not get
See how the rest.
Yeah.
Bog down in the detail.
So yeah. Like I needed 51
Do the whole
points. Yeah,
thing
I need
before
51 points to pass,
Yeah.
and it was 30-70 exam, which means that 30 points came from the theory part, 70 points from the case.
Ah, okay. So
I'm like,
you're
you know, don't get
cooking.
I'm like, don't get bogged down on that one. And he just, all right,
Yeah.
because he's an academic.
Yeah.
You don't know theory, you cannot
Yeah.
apply it. Well, might be true, but we're about to find out. And I see the guy switches to the case text, and he's like, for 15 minutes, Forrest Gump without chocolate. And he just, played around with those pages for about 40 minutes, I think, just to keep me agitated.
Just to try and make
everybody else
to make you fail, isn't he? He's trying to like, what am I not saying here?
Yeah.
How can I make this guy fail?
Yeah. Plus, he was like, at the same time, everybody else are looking at him, like, and I guess that like one of the saddest thing was like, if this dude now like passes, and there are people like who've been
turning up
for
week.
16 weeks, like to church, and most of them failed.
Did they?
Yes.
Oh, what a wonderful feeling.
Oh, I was I had it very well. They, of course, did not make me very popular among my course mates, but I was like,
you don't see them. You're never in.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a third year.
Yeah.
And I got through that exam, go back to office. My boss was like, did you pass it? I'm like, yeah, good, then we keep paying your salary. Otherwise it would be awkward. But no, I mean, I think that the teachers who have arts background, or comedy background, or any kind of performative background, get through their jobs so much better because they themselves know the struggle of preparing a class. It's preparing a role. Like it's preparing an act. Going in front of, even if it's like you get to know your teachers, students, and your fellow teachers as well. It's still, you go in front of the crowd that not just expects to learn, but they expect to be entertained to a certain degree. Because there's no worse thing in a classroom than boredom. And I've done that cardinal sin. I've been at a low point in my academic career. I remember once walked out in the class because it just I exploded in a sense that it was most of the people were not in because attendance is not mandatory.
You were the teacher.
I was in front of the class as a professor, teaching the class, And I realized that most of the students were online, there was chatter going at the back. And there was a couple of people in the front that wanted to listen, but they couldn't because they were between like two chatters. So they were in the middle, so that's where the sounds collided.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I said to the guys in front, let me know when they finish. I'm going to be in my classroom. 15 minutes later, one of the students who was the chatting comes to my office like, why are you not in class? I'm like, because you don't need me.
Yeah.
It's kind of, in that sense, again, giving the class, historically thinking, like back in the day, Adam Smith, who I always feel sorry for when I pass his statue in Edinburgh.
Is he up there?
Yeah, but he's never, they should wash him. I mean, he's all pigeon shit. The man wrote 2,000, exactly. He wrote 2,000 pages on how to do business. Nobody reads the book, everybody quotes it.
Yeah.
Getting people back into the room to listen to, come to the open mics and donate, where they spend 3 years going through a backlog of Netflix, discovering comedians. I remember a friend of mine writing to me like, dude, there is this guy on Netflix. I forgot his name. He's like shorter. I'm like, do you mean Patton Oswalt? Like, yeah, that dude. I mean, I didn't know he doesn't do jokes. I mean, I was like, dude, how do you think he became a comedic actor on screen?
Yeah.
Like, oh, but he has specials. And, yeah, I know. I have Netflix too. But people would discover that or go on YouTube and you would get like those, watch Robin Williams specials, getting stuff online. Performance-wise, like the early shows of Robin Williams where he does more improv and goes nuts with the public and the viewers and the audience, and you would realize that now we have to start from scratch, not just by getting people in, but getting them to feel comfortable enough to engage with that performance. And that you don't get that online. It doesn't matter how good a bit is, how good of a sketch is. You watch it, yes, it's magical, and you had a hearty laugh, but the feeling you have in that room, seeing that act working off you, not the same. But I also have to admit to myself that I'm a man in my early 40s with mortgage, so it's not that easy. In that sense, it's not about packing the bag. It's more about selling the bank that do not take my home. I'm going to be back. But no, I get. In all seriousness, I hope to continue with this comedy thing, and I have one of my dreams that wise is to record a comedy special in my native language, Estonian, and maybe in Russian as well. But to start with the Estonian language of my mother. Because the reason I've always admired George Carlin's jokes is what that man could do with English language. He would take words and some sayings and just play around with language and make, he has this legendary bit on soft language, and I see that in my home country. And
so you'd want to twist it around, so that apply those kind of.
Yeah, I want to take the semantics and maybe the philosophical bits. And just show my fellow Estonians that
how to truly smash it. Aleksandr, I'm afraid we're going to have to call it a day. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
So much.